Hello, cats and kittens. Orewa Jose Yoroshku, back in the crisis corner to give my impressions on Captain America: Brave New World. Currently, it's bombing in the box office. Second week, there's a 68%, I believe, drop off in box office receipts. So it doesn't have legs, as they say. And a lot of people saw this coming. I'm not here to beat a dead horse. I'm just giving my impressions on the movie. Earlier I had made a video basically saying that Cap Four was Falcon Cap or bust. Either they were going to make this work, or it could be like a death knell for the MCU going forward. This review is basically titled, the MCU strikes again. It's a meh movie. It is. That seems to be what they make nowadays. Meh. It's a bunch of meh movies. That's where I see it. But I'll get into detail. I got my notes. Took extensive notes. These are my general impressions. What worked? Anthony Mackie worked. He's a good actor. He's a good actor. I think he can carry a movie if given the right material. The idea of him being Cap, I think, can work. There's been a lot, people throwing out there Captain African American and Black in America and all that stuff. Sam being Cap could work. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with his performance for what he was given to do. He did the best that he could. So Anthony Mackie, Black Captain America, whatever, was not the problem with this movie. All right, so there's a side. There are good bits of action. There were good bits of action, but the overall, I'm not going to put butts in it at this point. This is what worked. Some of the action scenes worked. Some of the aerial combat worked. Some of the hand-to-hand fighting worked. So that's a plus. All right, so we'll go there. The Cap suit. A lot of people have been given grief about him having this amped up suit. They got the Ant-Man helmet and the, Black Panther vibranium suit and the wings, and it's all tricked out. That's not a problem for me because, he has the two red wings to help him in various situations. He's going to need that since he doesn't have the super soldier serum. He's going to need something to put him over the top. And giving him a tricked out suit and giving him the red wings and stuff like that, to me, that's fine. I mean, Batman has armor that can defeat Darkseid. I don't see anybody crying about that, Another thing, the last thing on the list of things that I thought worked were the performances. They were good performances, good to at least solid performances. Anthony Mackie, again, he carried the movie. He did a good job. Harrison Ford put in work more than I thought he would. He put in work. Carl Lumbly as Isaiah Bradley put in work. So what worked? Anthony Mackie. I thought there were decent action. The suit I liked. The things that the suit could do. I think they were a little inconsistent at times. But I think some of that had to do with the cuts and the reshoots. Because at one point, some random dude damages the vibranium suit. I think that was with an adamantium weapon, but they never got into it. But whatever. So the suit, I like what the suit did. Slightly inconsistent, but whatever. Performances. They were good performances. What didn't work for me? The plot felt stitched together at times. It's what I call a Franken film. You can tell that, and we know from a lot of the reports from Hollywood insiders and all of that, that there were a lot of reworks, a lot of recuts and whatever to this film in the process of making it, and you could feel it at times. You could see it in some of the dialogue, how they would switch angles to tell so that you wouldn't tell that they had edited in dialogue and stuff like that. So, and the plot seemed a little weird, iffy, I say at times. I'll get into that a little bit more as we go along. So it felt patched together. The politics of the situation didn't make any sense. Uh, the politics of Japan and India going to war against the, or attempting to go to war against the United States over vibranium, not vibranium, adamantium. Where was Wakanda? Where was Russia? Where was China? The UK? Nobody else is mentioned but these two nations. So it's a weird conflict. You know, the celestial island issue, or celestial continent, or whatever that thing is. That thing is huge, man. So it's finally got some press, finally got some notice within the plot in the MCU. And the first thing that they think to do is battle over mining rights for adamantium. A continent-sized humanoid is sticking out of your planet, and the first thing we can think to battle over is picking his bones. I can think of a lot of different questions that will come up that will worry me. Why is a man-sized, a continent-sized man sticking out of our planet? Is he alive? Is he dead? If he's dead, are his people going to come and take revenge? Is he tilting the world off its axis by sticking out like that? Thousands of questions are coming to my mind, but we'll let that ride. Okay, we'll let that ride because in the comics, Galactus has visited the Earth a few times, and people still go on about their day-to-day lives. So let's give him that. All right. Bucky Barnes running for Congress again. That's kind of weird to me. I just don't get it. You could say, I don't know how he runs for Congress. I mean, he was a former war hero, true. He disappeared for X amount of years. If you dig into what he was doing for those X amount of years, he wouldn't be able to run for Congress. I'm assuming nobody knows that he was the Winter Soldier. And if you do know that he was the Winter Soldier, why would you elect him to Congress? I don't know. Whatever. So that'd be like Wolverine running for head of the Department of Health and Human Services. I wouldn't do it. That's just me. The leader. The leader's plan felt like a jilted lover trying to get revenge. He is a silly revenge plot based on trying to basically tear a person down, ruin their, standing, because they did you wrong. It's kind of like Baron Zemo. Zemo's plot was basically kind of the same thing. He wanted to discredit people or tear the Avengers apart. Neither of those two villains was trying to seize power. They were just trying to get petty revenge on people for things that they did wrong. Better if he'd thought to try to kill, what you call him, Thunderbolt Ross or something like that. And he could have easily done it, but we'll get into that in a second. So I didn't really buy his deal as a villain. He was kind of insignificant to me, and that's a problem because he was pushing the plot. The Serpent Society. Why was Sidewinder in the movie? I would have liked to have seen Cap versus the Serpent Society for whatever reason. I don't know if they'd had just a beef against him or whatever, but that might have been too much like Cap versus Hydra in Winter Soldier, which this movie desperately wanted to be Winter Soldier, but it couldn't be. It's not on that level of filmmaking. So I would have rather seen Cap versus the evil machinations of the Serpent Society than seeing Cap versus Hulk villains. Falcon. The Falcon, the actual Falcon in this movie, not Sam Wilson, but Joaquin, whatever his name was. He was too tag-alongish. He didn't really. I don't think Sam needed a sidekick any more than Cap needed a sidekick in Winter Soldier. Sam wasn't, in my mind, Sam wasn't Cap's sidekick. He was an associate. Uh, he wasn't somebody that he was patting on the back and mentoring. This was a dude that was helping. In Winter Soldier, Falcon was a dude helping Cap achieve an end. In Brave New World, Falcon seems like a sidekick, like Robin or something like that, to Cap, and he doesn't really need it. There's like a redundancy there. Two dudes flying around, basically doing the same thing, except for one's tricked out and the other one's not. So at least you could have got Falcon some armor or something like that, but they just hung him out there to just be a sidekick. There's that. Next on the list, Sabra, or whatever agent, the little girl, I said the little girl. The See, if you know who the little lady was, the smallish lady that was working for Ross in whatever capacity, I still don't even know what in what capacity she was working for the president, but it's supposed to have been Sabra from the comics. And if you know the comics and you know Sabra, then this is ridiculous. That's why they didn't call her Sabra in this. They called her whatever her name, Batseraph or whatever her name was, to distance her from what she's supposed to be. In the comics, that's a powerful Hulk villain slash character, But here she's just a very, very. They found the smallest, most innocuous human being that they possibly could and put her in a role that's supposed to be comparable to Black Widow in Winter Soldier. And she didn't get the screen time, had none of the gravitas, and no implications into the plot that Black Widow had in Winter Soldier. She was just there, and she's very noticeably small. I'm not even going to get into the point, of being able to defeat big people or whatever, because, you can let that slide. You can suspend, disbelief and all of that. But give me a chance. I can suspend disbelief with the best of them, but you got to give me a chance. It was ill conceived. That's what I would say. The casting was ill conceived, but there's that. That didn't work for me. Sam's character development. They keep going back to this thing where, am I good enough to be Captain America? That was resolved in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He's Captain America, and it's over. Discussion is done. He occupies that role. Actually, I don't have a problem with Captain America being a mantle. It almost makes sense if you're looking at it nationalistically. You would, if you have that beacon, that standard bearer for your country, would you want that to just go away after that particular soldier ages out or dies, or would you want that to be a beacon going forward? One guy falls, another one picks up the mantle. It makes sense. I'm not saying, I'm not for mantles in terms of heroes per se, but in the case of Captain America, it kind of makes sense from a nationalistic standpoint. But they keep going back to this thing where, am I good enough to be Cap? Can a black man be Captain America? I mean, I'd even go as far as to say, in terms of Rogers handing him the shield, technically it's not his shield to hand to anybody. They made that abundantly clear in prior series where in what was it in the third Captain America Civil War, that shield is property of the US government. So they can give it to whoever they want. And if they decide that Sam Wilson is Captain America, guess what? So that's a tired narrative that needs to be put to rest, but they keep going back to it for what reasons, I don't know. Next, productions and FX, I think, were small screen level most of the times. At times, they achieved decent FX we saw it in 3D. I saw it in 3D with my crew. I didn't. It wasn't my choice, but we saw it in 3D, and that was a waste of time. But the FX was small screen. Over the Red Hulk fight at times was overwhelmed by the CGI. But CGI is going to be used on Red Hulk too. But the environment, it was like getting Ant-Man uh, 3 flashbacks. It didn't work. The dialogue at times was stiff and forced. The jokes, none of the jokes, not many of the jokes landed. Too much exposition. People always telling you and not showing you. Um, they wanted to have there was no mystery in this series equivalent to Bucky being the Winter Soldier if you weren't familiar with the comics. If you went into not Civil War, um, a Winter Soldier and didn't know anything about comic book characters or whatever, the Winter Soldier storyline, you may have been surprised by Bucky being the Winter Soldier, or at least you would be surprised that Hydra had taken over Shield. But there's nothing like that in this movie. There's no mysteries, no nothing. Everything's spelled out, and everything's pretty much on the table. But again, the jokes didn't land. Lastly, talk no jutsu. Um, Red Hulk being talked down didn't work for me. It could have worked if Betty talked him down. If Sam tried and failed, Red Hulk was about to kill Sam, and then somehow, some way, Betty wanders into the battlefield and says, "Dad, no, don't do it." Now, mind you, the Hulk movie that this is picking up after, a continuation of, was a long time ago, and in the span between those movies, Betty Ross has not been mentioned, and she's not even a thing. Okay, most people don't. A lot of people don't even know that Thunderbolt Ross has a daughter. If you were just following all the movies after the 2008 or 5 Hulk with Edward Norton, yeah, nobody really remembers that. It's like even not as bad as or not as forgotten as the Ang Lee movie, which I think was actually pretty decent. But it's been forgotten, and so nobody really cares about Betty or remembers her. And she makes a brief cameo. I think it's an AI type appearance at the end, just for the sake of arguments. And you hear her voice on the phone, so they couldn't even be bothered to bring the actress in to actually do the work. So whatever about that. So, but then having Red Hulk talked down by Sam, it may have been necessary because Sam could not defeat the Red Hulk unless they found some clever way for him to do so, which they didn't. So they just had him talk him down, and that was kind of painful to watch. So overall, it's a Franken film. Um, you can tell at times that the dialogue was spliced together. The Serpent Society could have been omitted from the film, and no one really would have noticed. Cyber's presence is unexplained and unnecessary. The post-credit stingers, it's bizarre to me because I don't know how the leader is aware of the incursions that are supposed to be happening. They say it's because of probabilities. He's aware of all these probabilities, but he wasn't aware enough to defeat, like Captain America and his people. All of his predictions and his analytics didn't help him at all against just a dude with wings and his sidekick. So how is he able to predict that these incursions are coming? What else? The film was created to clean up the loose ends for a movie that no one has thought about for um, nearly 2 decades. So that's kind of sloppy. And while not entirely bad, it felt safe and irrelevant. They created a safe movie that won't offend anybody, but it doesn't really inspire anybody or anything. It's basically a movie designed to supply content, but not necessarily to push a narrative forward. So it's just there. It's just more stuff. So it's not a good movie. It's not. It's meh. It's meh. And if that's the best you can do, I'd rather you not even try. It's not. If you can't compare it with Winter Soldier, it's like comparing Porky's with you know Doctor Strangelove. It's not even close. It's not close to what it's trying to be, and therefore, it kind of deserves to fail. The question is, where do they go from now? Where do they go? What direction are they going to continue with this whole multiverse saga or whatever? I guess they don't have any choice since they pull out the whole Robert Downey Jr. thing, and you know, I I ain't gonna say I pray for the Fantastic Four movie because I got better things to pray for. But I hope that the Fantastic Four movie works, but I am doubtful. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you enjoyed it, I didn't hate it. It wasn't as bad as Madam Web for sure. It's not on that level, and uh, it's probably above the the Marvels and maybe Ant-Man 3, but it's not good. And if movies aren't good, why watch them? That's my impressions. Let me know what you think. Um, Next up, I'm gonna have a my impressions on the new season of Miss Scarlet, Sans the Duke. That's a story unto itself. Otherwise, until next time, stay tuned.